Good morning to everyone. So today topic is global warming. Right? So global warming, which is one of the major problem of this century, right? So now, first of all, what is a greenhouse effect? So it means the sunlight causes the earth surface to heat up, right? Now, the earth surface that radiates the thermal infrared radiation, right? So now there are gases in the atmosphere. What are the gases? So like carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, water vapor, right? So they together enter. So that this infrared radiation is not allowed to leave the atmosphere. So why? Because of a number of human activities. So as we do know the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, so that is continuously increasing, right? And because of that, more and more heat gets trapped into the atmosphere, right? So, and the atmospheric temperature goes up, and it has been going up lately, right? So the greenhouse effect is causing the earth to slowly get warmer, and this is precisely the phenomenon which is called global warming, right? So now the greenhouse gases, that is any gas, right? Any gas that has the property of absorbing infrared radiation, so near heat energy. So that is emitted from Earth surface and re-radiating it back to Earth surface. So thus contributing to the greenhouse effect, right? So the global warming is the long-term warming of the planet's overall temperature, right? Though this warming trend has been going on for a long time, right? So its pace has significantly increased in last 100 years, right? Last 100 years. So since 1992, the each year has been one of the warmest year on record. Okay. So, since the record keeping began in which year? 1895. So the hottest year on record, that is worldwide, it was 2016. Okay, 2016 is the hottest year. So it is the worldwide record. Okay. So when according to NOAA and NASA, right? So so that year, the Earth surface temperature was 1 point, how much? 1.78 degrees Fahrenheit, warmer than the average across the entire 20th century. So before this 2016 and 2015, it was the warmest year on record globally, right? So the Earth temperature is still increases day by day, right? So because of what is the reason? So that is humans and natural activities, right? So the greenhouse effect is the main reason for global warming. Okay. So it is defined as the increase in Earth surface temperature caused by the trapping of atmospheric heat. So this process causes Earth warmer than normal, right? So by direct sunlight, right? So the ultraviolet rays, infrared and visible radiations are reached the Earth surface from which place? Sun, right? So when the sun energy reaches the Earth atmosphere, some of it is reflected back to the space and some is absorbed and radiated by greenhouse gases, right? So now the greenhouse effect is caused due to the gases which absorb the reflect radiant energy, right? So you see this is the glass greenhouse. So what is the glass greenhouse? So you observe this feature. So this structure. So it's a greenhouse building, right? So it's made up of with glass walls, right? These walls and a glass roof. So totally it's a glass structure, right? So and you can see small plants as well, right? But there is a specific reason, okay? Why? So why that structure exists? You know, the clear glass allows sunlight to shine into the greenhouse, right? So, but does not allow the heat to escape. So let's understand what exactly is happening. The solar radiation can easily pass through glass, this, right? So now what happened then? The ground inside the glass house is heated up. So when this ground is heated, it radiates thermal infrared radiation. So now the glass material does not allow this radiation. Now the glass material does not allow this radiation to pass through. So the heat is trapped inside the glass house. And because of that, so the temperature inside the glass house rises. So these are the called greenhouses, right? Greenhouses. So this is how greenhouse keeps plants warm even at night and in the winter. Right. So now our atmosphere contains a number of different gases, right? So it mostly made up of nitrogen and oxygen. So nitrogen is about 78% and oxygen is about 21%, right? So, but it also contains a number of gases. It is known as, what is the greenhouse gases, right? So the gases are responsible for the greenhouse effect is called greenhouse gases. Or so I can say in simple sentence, heat trapping gases, right? Heat trapping gases. It's called greenhouse gases. So all the heat trapping gases are called as greenhouse gases. So basically, greenhouse gases are a group of compounds. So there are lots of gases so that are able to trap heat in the atmosphere. So the greenhouse gases, when present in moderate quantities, help Earth retain the heat received from sunlight. So that's helping in maintaining moderated temperature necessary for survival of life on Earth, right? So these greenhouse gases are good, but if they are in the right quantity, right? So they form a layer around the Earth, which acts like sort of a light blanket. So when the sun rays are reflected into the Earth, some of these rays are absorbed by the, which one? Earth, right? So the main reason for global warming is human activities. So some of the human activities like burning of fossil fuels, industrialization, deforestation, and also environmental pollution causes increase in the greenhouse gases. So these are the increase in greenhouse gases results in more heat being trapped on the Earth's surface, right? So thus increasing the average temperature is causing global warming, right? So now what are the greenhouse gases? So this is also very important question in your examination. Okay. So greenhouse gases are those gases which absorb the long wave, right? Long wave radiation emitted by the Earth's surface. So, and these greenhouse gases re-radiate this energy in different directions, thereby warming the Earth's atmosphere, right? So that means these greenhouse gases are crucial for the survival of life on planet. But excessive presence of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere leads to overwarming of the atmosphere and leading to permanent climatic changes in the form of global warming. So the main gases responsible for the greenhouse effects are carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor, and ozone, nitrous oxide, fluorinated gases, and carbon monoxide. Right? So these are the important greenhouse molecules. That means heat trapping gases, right? So the carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor. So these are the most important greenhouse gases. And to lesser extent, surface level, that is ozone, nitrogen oxide, and fluorinated gases. So these gases also trap infrared radiation. Okay. Now, see one by one. Carbon dioxide, right? So carbon dioxide enters the atmosphere through which place? Burning of fossil fuels. It means coal, natural gas, and also oil, and solid waste, trees, and other biological materials. So, and also as a result of certain chemical reactions, means manufacture of cements, like, right? So the carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere when it is absorbed by plants as part of the biological carbon cycle, right? So the carbon dioxide is the primary greenhouse gas emitted through human activities, and carbon dioxide is naturally present in the atmosphere as part of the Earth carbon cycle, right? So what are the main sources of this carbon dioxide? So that is the combustion of fossil fuels. So that is to generate electricity, right? And the combustion of fossil fuels such as gasoline and diesel used for transportation. And many industrial processes emit carbon dioxide through fossil fuel combustion. So the several processes also produce carbon dioxide emissions through chemical reactions that do not involve combustion. For example, the production and consumption. Production and consumption of mineral products such as cement, and the production of metals such as iron and steel, and the production of chemicals, etc. Right? So the carbon dioxide is the primary and most important greenhouse gases. And carbon dioxide is naturally present in the atmosphere as part of the which one? Earth carbon cycle, right? So it allows the sun rays to pass through the atmosphere but prevent infrared heat radiation. So that it reflect by Earth from escaping into our outer space and redirect heat back towards Earth. So due to this, temperature of the atmosphere is increasing, right? So the carbon dioxide contribute approximately how much? How much? 88%, right? 88% to the warming of the globe, right? So hence the global warming is identified mostly with the increase in carbon dioxide emissions that has with human and natural activities, right? So more than 60%, right? 60% of carbon dioxide emissions are caused by burning of fossil fuels, cutting down and burning trees, and thermal power plants, and automobiles, and deforestation. So account for about 20% of the carbon dioxide increase from the human activities, right? So half of the carbon dioxide emitted by which one? Human activities, right? So the human activities are altering the carbon cycle, both adding more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere and by influencing the ability of natural sinks. Okay. So like forests and soils to remove and store carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, right? So significant, the natural sinks include terrestrial vegetation, so which takes up carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, right? Photosynthesis. So while carbon dioxide emissions comes from a variety of natural sources and also human related emissions are responsible for the increase that has occurred in the atmosphere since the industrial revolution. Okay. So the several processes are also produce carbon dioxide emissions through chemical reactions that do not involve combustion. And examples include the production of minerals such as cement, right? And iron, steel, chemicals. Okay. Now you see here transportation. So the combustion of fossil fuels such as gasoline and diesel to transport of people and goods was the largest source of carbon dioxide emissions. So this category includes transportation, um, sources such as highways and passenger vehicles and air travel and marine transportation and rail. So almost all of 95% of the world transportation energy comes from petroleum-based fuels and largely gasoline and diesel, right? And electricity. Electricity is a significant source of energy and it is used to power homes, business, and industry, right? So the combustion of fossil fuels to generate electricity was the second largest source of carbon dioxide emissions, right? So the types of fossil fuel used to generate electricity emit different amount of carbon dioxide. And to produce a given amount of electricity and burning of coal will produce more carbon dioxide than natural gas or oil, right? And industry. So many industrial processes emit carbon dioxide through fossil fuel combustion. Means these sectors are like also includes emissions from chemical, metallurgical, and mineral transformation process not associated with energy consumption and emissions from waste management activities, right? So note emissions from industrial electricity use are excluded and those are instead covered in the electricity and heat production sector, right? So now you see this graph shows the progressive increase in carbon dioxide concentration over the past 5 decades, right? So the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is now over 400 parts per billion. You see here, okay? Per million, sorry. So which represents a green than sorry, greater than 20 percent, right? 20% increase since the 1960s to 2010, right? You see here. So this increases in carbon dioxide concentrations as well as other greenhouse gases such as methane. So that is directly related to an observed increase in global temperature. So you can observe on this graph here, right? So this process is called global warming, right? So as the planet warms, it causes changes in regional climates. So this is commonly referred to as climate change. Okay. Next one is methane, right? So methane is the another most important in the greenhouse gases, right? So it contributes approximately how much? 18%. So 18% to total radiative forcing by long-lived greenhouse gases, right? So the human activities emitting methane includes leaks from natural gas systems and the rising of livestock. So methane is also emitted by natural sources such as natural wetlands. So in addition, natural process in soil and chemical reactions in the atmosphere that is help remove methane from the atmosphere, right? So methane is emitted from energy and industry, agriculture, land use and waste management activities, right? And also generated by um, bacteria called methanogens. It's called methanogens. So which is habitat in marshes, swamp and wetlands soils, right? So methane gas escapes from garbage landfills, right? Garbage landfills and open dump also. So it also leaks out during mining and extraction and transportation of coal, oil and natural gas. So coal mining is also a source of um, methane emissions, right? So the methane's lifetime in the atmosphere is much shorter than carbon dioxide. But methane is more efficient at trapping radiation than carbon dioxide. So the comparative impact of one molecule of methane is how much? 25 times greater than carbon dioxide. How much? 25 times greater than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period, right? So approximately 40% of see, methane is emitted into the atmosphere by natural sources and 60% of total methane emissions come from human activities, right? So in agriculture, the domestic sorry, livestock such as cattle, swine, sheep, and goats that produce methane as part of their normal digestive process. So, and methane is produced when animal manure is stored or managed in lagoons or holding tanks. So, you remember, so one cow can produce how much? 73, right? You see it, 73,000 liters per year, right? So cows produce methane as part of their normal diet process, right? So about 65% of cow manure is composed of methane. Right? So because the human raises these animals for food and other products, So the emissions are considered human related. So the agriculture sector is the primary source of methane emission. And next one is energy and industry. So methane is the primary component of natural gas and petroleum systems. So these are the second largest sources of methane emissions in some of the countries. So some amount of methane is emitted to the atmosphere during the production, processing, storage, and transmission and distribution of natural gases, right? And next one is waste from homes and businesses. So methane is generated in landfills as waste decomposes and in the treatment of wastewater, right? And landfills. What are the landfills? Landfills are the third largest source of methane emissions. So methane is also generated from domestic and industrial wastewater treatment and from composting and non-aerobic digestion. So the methane is also emitted from a number of natural sources. And so the natural wetlands are the largest source, right? Largest source and emitting methane from bacteria that decompose organic materials in the absence of oxygen. And also smaller sources, those are include termites, oceans, and sediments, volcanoes, and wildfires, right? Next one is nitrous oxide, right? So this is the third most significant greenhouse gas, right? So it contributes approximately how much 6% to total radiative forcing by long-lived greenhouse gases. So this gas produced naturally from human activities. So about 60%, right? So the human activities such as agriculture, fuel combustion, and wastewater management and industrial process. So these are increasing the amount of nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. So the nitrous oxide is also naturally present in the atmosphere as part of the Earth's nitrogen cycle and bacterial activity in the soil, and it has a variety of natural sources. So the impact of one molecule of nitrous oxide on warming the atmosphere is almost 300 times that for one molecule of carbon dioxide, right? One molecule of carbon dioxide. So in agriculture, the nitrous oxide can result from various agricultural soil management activities such as application of synthetic and organic fertilizers and other cropping practices and the management of manure or burning of agricultural residues, right? So the agricultural soil management is the largest source of nitrous oxide emissions, right? And fuel combustion emitted. So nitrous oxide is emitted when fuels are burned, right? Fuels are burned. So the amount of nitrous oxide emitted from burning fuels depends on the type of fuel and combustion technology, maintenance, and operating practices, and wastewater management. So nitrous oxide is also generated from treatment of domestic wastewater during this nitrification and denitrification, right? And nitrification and denitrification of the nitrogen present, usually in the form of urea, ammonia, and proteins, right? And industry. So nitrous oxide is generated as a byproduct during the production of chemicals What is that? Such as nitric acid, which is used to make synthetic commercial fertilizer, and in the production of adipic acid, which is used to make fibers, right? So like nylon and other synthetic products, right? So the nitrous oxide emissions occur naturally through many sources associated with the nitrogen cycle, which is the natural circulation of nitrogen among the atmosphere, plants, animals, and microorganisms. So that live in soil and water, right? So nitrogen takes on a variety of chemicals forms throughout the nitrogen cycle, including interpret, right? So the natural emissions of nitrous oxide are mainly from bacteria breaking down nitrogen in soils and the oceans. So nitrous oxide is removed from the atmosphere when it is absorbed by certain types of bacteria or destroyed by ultraviolet radiation or chemical reaction. Right? Next one is water vapor. So the most abundant greenhouse gas in the earth atmosphere is water vapor. Okay. So most of the greenhouse heating of earth atmosphere is due to water vapor absorption of infrared radiation emitted by the earth and then transferring the energy to the surrounding air molecule. Yes, Bhagya Raju, you are raising your hand. Okay, right. So the water vapor is the biggest overall contributor to the greenhouse effect. So it is the most important greenhouse gas, right? So, but humans are not directly responsible for emitting this gas. So in quantity sufficient to change its concentration in the atmosphere. So, however, the carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases is increasing the amount of water vapor in the air by boosting the rate of evaporation. Right? And next one is ozone. So ozone is technically a greenhouse gas, right? So, but ozone is helpful or harmful depending on the where it is found in the Earth's atmosphere. So, ozone occurs naturally at higher elevations in the atmosphere, that is the stratosphere. So, where it forms a layer that blocks ultraviolet light, so which is harmful to plant and animal life from reaching the Earth's surface. So the protective benefits of stratospheric ozone outweigh its contribution to the greenhouse effect and to global warming. So however, at lower elevations of the atmosphere, ozone is harmful to human health, right? So O3 is one of the biggest contributors to greenhouse gases, right? So ozone layer helps in the absorption of most of the toxic ultraviolet rays from the sun, right? So it is found to be present on the top surface of the stratosphere around 30 miles higher than the ground surface where it helps the earth, right? So, whereas around 12 miles higher above the troposphere, right? Troposphere, the ozone behaves as greenhouse gas by trapping heat. So, similarly, in the middle section of the troposphere, The ozone assists in cleaning up some pollutants, right? So it is 200 times as effective carbon dioxide in heat retention property, right? And fluorinated gases. So the fluorinated gases are also known as F gases, right? And these are synthetic and powerful greenhouse gases. So that are emitted from a variety of industrial processes such as aluminum and semiconductor manufacturing. And fluorinated gases are often used as substitutes for ozone depleting substances. Okay. And fluorinated gases are sometimes used as substitutes, right, for stratospheric ozone depleting substances. So these gases are typically emitted in smaller quantities, but because they are powerful greenhouse gases, so with an even higher warmer potential than carbon dioxide. So sometimes they are referred to as high GWP means global warming potential, right? Global warming potential gases. So the fluorinated gases do not produce from natural sources. So that is only comes from human related activities used in a range of everyday products as well as industrial applications, right? And they can also have long atmospheric lifetimes. In some cases, are lasting thousands of years. So most of the fluorinated gases are well mixed in the atmosphere and spreading around the world after they are emitted. So many fluorinated gases are going to remove from the atmosphere only when they are destroyed by sunlight. So in the far upper atmosphere, okay, so in general, the fluorinated gases are the most potent and longest lasting type of greenhouse gases emitted by which one? Human related activities, right? So however, these gases are powerful greenhouse gases with a global warming effect up to 23,000 times greater than carbon dioxide, and their emissions are rising strongly. So now you see, so fluorinated gases are mainly categorized as hydrofluorocarbons and perfluorocarbons and sulfur hexafluoride and nitrogen trifluoride. So hydrofluorocarbons is called HFCs and perfluorocarbons called PFCs and sulfur hexafluoride is called SF6 and nitrogen trifluoride is called NF3, right? So these are the fluorinated gases. You see here, substitutions for ozone depleting substances. The hydrocarbons are used as refrigerant and aerosol, propellants and foam blowing agents, solvents, and retardants, right? And the major emissions source of these compounds is their use as refrigerants. For example, in air conditioned systems, in both vehicles and buildings. So these chemicals were developed as a replacement for chlorofluoro chlorofluorocarbons and hydrochlorofluorocarbons, that is HCFCs. So because they do not deplete the stratospheric ozone layer, right? So the chlorofluorocarbons and hydrochlorofluorocarbons are being phased out under an international agreement. So that is called the Montreal Protocol. So I will explain this Montreal Protocol in next class. Okay. So the hydrofluorocarbons are potent greenhouse gases with high global warming potential, that is called GWPS, and they are released into the atmosphere during manufacturing process and through leaks, servicing and disposal of equipments in which they are used, right? And this hydrofluoroolefins, HFOs, it's called HFOs, this. So these are developed and these are a subset of hydrofluorocarbons, and these are characterized by short atmospheric lifetimes and lower global warming potentials. So the hydrofluoroolefins are currently being introduced as refrigerant, aerosols, and propellants and foam blowing agents, right? So now see here, perfluorocarbons. So it's called PEFCS. So these are the compounds consist of fluorine and carbon, right? Fluorine and carbon. So the perfluorocarbons are produced as byproduct of aluminum smelting process, and those are used in the manufacturing of semiconductors, cosmetics, and pharmaceutical industries, as well as in refrigeration when combined with other gases, right? So perfluorocarbons generally have long atmospheric lifetimes and GWPs near 10,000 years, okay? And next one is sulfur hexafluoride, right? So it is used in magnesium process and semiconductor manufacturing. So as well as a tracer gas for leak detection. So you see here HFC-23 is produced as byproduct of HCFC-22 production, and it is used in a semiconductor manufacture. Now, transmission and distribution of electricity. So, and also the sulfur hexafluoride is used as an insulating gas in electrical transmission equipment, including circuit breakers. And nitrogen trifluoride is also used primarily as an etchant for microelectronics fabrications, right? So now you see this picture, the percentage contribution of various anthropogenic greenhouse gases emissions at global level in 2010 IPCC 2014 report. So this is the figure. You see percentage, carbon dioxide is 65%, and here that is from fossil fuels and industrial process, and forestry and other land is that is 11%, and methane is 16%, and nitrogen is 6%, right? So now, what are the causes of global warming? So there are many causes of global warming. So some are natural and some are man-made causes, right? So that warming is a danger for the extinction of life on the earth, right? So there are two types, man-made and natural causes, right? So what are the man-made causes? Those are deforestation, use of vehicles, and chlorofluorocarbons, and industrial development, and agriculture, and overpopulation. So deforestation means plants, right? Plants are the main source of oxygen. So they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, thereby maintaining environmental balance. So forests are being depleted for many domestic and commercial purposes. So this has led to an environmental imbalance, thereby giving rise to global warming, right? So use of vehicles, the use of vehicles even for a very short distance results in various gases emissions. So vehicles burn fossil fuels which emit a large amount of carbon dioxide and other toxins into the atmosphere, resulting in a temperature increase, right? And chlorofluorocarbons also, with the excessive use of air conditioners and refrigerators, humans have been adding CFCs into the environment. So which affects the atmospheric ozone layer, right? So the ozone layer protects the Earth's surface from the harmful ultraviolet rays emitted by the sun, right? And next, industrial development. So with the advent of industrialization, the temperature of the earth has been increasing rapidly. So the harmful emissions from the factories add to the increasing temperature of the earth. So in 2013, the Intergovernmental Panel for Climatic Change, that is IPCC 2013 report, that the increase in the global temperature between 1888 to 2012 has been 0.9 degrees Celsius. 1880 to 2012. How much? 0.9 degrees Celsius. So the increase is 1.1 degrees Celsius when compared to the pre-industrial mean temperature. Okay. And agriculture. So various farming activities produce carbon dioxide and methane gas, right? So these add to the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and increase the temperature of the earth. So the overpopulation means an increase in population means more people breathing, right? So this lead to an increase in the level of carbon dioxide. The primary gas causes global warming in the atmosphere. And next one is, so these are the man-made causes of global warming and natural causes. So natural causes are volcanoes, water vapor, and melting permafrost and forest blaze, right? So these are the natural causes. So volcanoes, how to cause volcanoes of global warming? So the volcanoes are one of the largest natural contributors, right, to global warming. So the ash and smoke emit during volcanic eruptions goes out into the atmosphere and affect the climate. So that is the important thing, right? And water vapor. Water vapor is a kind of greenhouse gas. So due to the increase in the earth temperature, more water gets evaporated from the water bodies and stays in the atmosphere, adding to global warming, right? And melting permafrost means permafrost is frozen soil, right? So that has environmental gases trapped in it for several years, and it is present below Earth's surface. So it is present in glaciers. So as the permafrost melts, it releases the gases back into the atmosphere, increasing Earth temperature. Okay, and forest blaze. Forest blazes means it's called forest fires, right? So that emit a large amount of carbon containing smoke. So these gases are released into the atmosphere and increase the Earth's temperature, resulting in global warming. Okay, so and rise in temperature also effect of the global warming. So that is global warming has lead to a rise in temperature, increase in the earth temperature, right? And the threats to ecosystem also. The global warming has affected the coral reefs, right? Coral reefs that can lead to the loss of plants and animals' lives. So increase in global temperatures has made the fragility of coral reefs even worse. Okay. So I stopped here. Okay. So I will take the class tomorrow. Okay.